Greetings from Tokyo, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I very much hope that this video finds you well and in very good spirits wherever you are in the world. And today I'd like to continue on with the great viewer questions that you so very kindly submitted to this channel a few months back. So they have all been really wonderful, and they've also been providing me with more opportunities to get to know you and what kinds of films you are interested in, what your perspectives are on a given cinema-related topic, and things of that nature. Thank you so much for giving me these further opportunities to get to know you. This is really what makes this YouTube endeavor so worth it. So thank you so much for doing that. I really appreciate it. And so let us now go, if it's okay, to the next question, which is from our dear friend Paul Beauparlant. So hello, Paul. It is always nice to see you, and I hope you are well. And your question is, would you like to see a revival of the drive-in theater? I'll answer my own question first with an emphatic and enthusiastic YES. Yes! Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Paul, thank you so much for this really great question, and also for your answer embedded in the question, your quote emphatic and enthusiastic answer. So thank you very much. This is really lovely. The drive-in theater experience is something that I haven't spoken about with any type of detail at all, in fact, I think, on this channel. And that's for the very simple reason is that for me, the drive-in theater experience was something that I was not able to participate in when I was a kid growing up, for the simple fact that there were no drive-in theaters in the vicinity where I was living. And when I was growing up, so I couldn't go to any drive-in theater because there weren't any, at least as far as I was aware. So unfortunately, when I was a youth, and indeed when I was growing up into my student years and then sometime beyond, I was unfortunately never able to get that experience, that cinema experience. Of course, it was something that I always longed for, because it was something that I heard about, or maybe read about, or it was something that could have been seen, for instance, in a film that I was watching. For instance, drive-ins. I'm thinking of John Carpenter's film Christine, for instance. There's a very famous scene in that film involving a drive-in theater. So that is just an example of the films that I would see that had the drive-in theater experience somehow or other expressed. So it's something that I was always aware of, but I never had that experience. But I always wanted it, because I think there's a real fascination. There's something public about the place, and yet there's a sense of intimacy and privacy at the same time. And so I find that dynamic to be so fascinating. And in fact, actually, I haven't, it's not that I've never been to a drive-in. I was so fortunate to be able to go, but it wasn't a regular experience for me. But the few occasions I did go, I managed to go to a drive-in theater experience, or to a drive-in theater, were both in the United States. And one occasion was, it wasn't, if I recall correctly, it wasn't any film that was being shown. It was a collection of trailers, or promo reels or trailers for 50s and 60s films. Actually, maybe a little bit later, I forget exactly. But it was a collection of trailers, and there were a lot of them. And so that was a really fun time to enjoy with the people that I was with in the car, and the whole process of the sound, etc. So that was, and finding the right place, and so that was really very interesting and very exciting. It became this really fun interactive experience. I think perhaps also due in part to the subject matter of that which we were watching at the time. It was such a fun time. So, and I remember just feeling like it was like a party. We were having a little party, and it was a fun time. It was there were other people there in the drive-in, but also it was a very intimate experience because it was us, the group that I was with at the time. So that was one experience. The other experience was a different drive-in experience, but it was the film Dirty Dancing. So I remember seeing the film Dirty Dancing in a drive-in theater fashion, and so I'd seen the film before, but it was a really I think another almost otherworldly experience in much the same way as my previous drive-in experience to watch that film. And again, it was with a group of people, and we were having a really good time. I think we were all into the film, and we'd all seen the film before, and so we knew what the film was. We could kind of go along with it and expect what all the turns of that film are. For those who've seen the film Dirty Dancing, you know what I'm talking about. But it was really wonderful, and again, it maybe transformed the experience into something that was really, again, that wonderful dynamic of something that seems quite public because you're in the open, as it were, kind of open air amphitheater type of quality, and at the same time there's an intimate space involved. So it was wonderful. I had a wonderful time. I had the time of my life, and I've never felt this way before. I swear it's the truth. So it was a great experience. Unfortunately, as I say, those experiences for me in drive-ins were very, very limited. And I think even now in Japan, I don't have that possibility or access to that. So it's always become this image in my mind of something that is a lovely, glorious, and quite. It's a type of almost a vision of cinema utopia from a certain vantage point of mine. And so I think from that perspective, again, from my maybe inexperienced perspective, I would again join in your own chorus of enthusiasm and also say yes. Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. Yes, I'd like to see a revival, or I'd like to see that type of experience going on, because that, again, it seems to transform it. It yet becomes another way of engagement. That's the thing too, which is and it might come up in a later question that I received, but from my own cinema viewing experience, it hasn't always been like this, but I could say that oftentimes cinema, at least the engagement process of it, has this way of making you feel very much, how should I put it, like solitary, and it becomes a solitary experience. But that's one of the great joys of cinema, and that, as I say, that paradoxical dynamism that it holds, because you can be in a public space like a theater or a drive-in, and you can get that public viewing experience while still holding a sense of your own sense of, say, your own thoughts, and so it's solitary, and it's a group type of dynamic. Maybe the home theater experience might potentially be somewhat different, but that itself holds, I think, yet another sphere of possibility, shall we say. So that is maybe a slightly different conversation entirely. But my point here is that the drive-in theater experience, at least what I had actually, and what I hold in my head and my heart in terms of the visions of it, I think that it holds a lot of great type of celebratory joy when one is engaging and experiencing with a film. And that's what it's all about. It's the idea of the life that is generated from the film itself, but also the life that's generated around the film, as we know. The idea of the longevity of a film, the myth of a film, the popularity of a film, it all rests on how we respond to it, of course, right? Obviously. So, and I think part of that has to do with the environment, the environs, and the setup, and the drive-in theater experience, at least again from my own very, very, very limited experience, but also from my own sense of what it is and what it holds, and based also on what other people have said. And this is, I think, something that would be great if it can continue for as many years as possible. This is something that is a type of institution that should be preserved to the extent possible. So I join your chorus of enthusiasm, my dear friend. So Paul, thank you so much for this great question, and I hope you are well, my friend. And thank you so much for watching, and until we meet again, please be happy and healthy and well, and please keep on watching a lot of great movies. Thank you so much, as always, for your time. I very much appreciate it. Stay strong, stay safe, and cheers.